Okay, we are live now. I just want to be sure one or two persons are there so we can start. Okay, one person.
That's fine.
So, hi everyone. Good morning and good night for some of us. So, just say hi if you can hear us so we can know we're not all alone. Hi, anyone? Hi, I can see one person. Okay, I think we'll just start. Okay, 7 people. Okay, people are here. Okay, a lot of hi. Okay, so thank you so much, every one of you, for answering this call. Like I feel honored. I'm grateful. So we'll just do a brief introduction. I'm sure all of them know you guys, but formality's sake. So I'm Mrs. O, and I'm hosting this show. So Muiwa, I can go first then.
Okay, my name is Muiwa, and yeah, I'm from Efalai.
Efalai to the world.
Yeah, so I'm currently a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of British Columbia, and before now, I had my first degree at the University of Ado-Ekiti, now Ekiti State University, and I had my master's under the Korean Government Scholarship in South Korea, Daejeon University, and after then, I proceeded to Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Germany, where I got my PhD in 2019. And yesterday, I got an appointment as a visiting lecturer to my alma mater, and I will be teaching for free, not being paid. I specifically stated like I do not want to be paid. I just want to give back to the system. So it's an honor to be a veteran on this channel. This is my second time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys. It's such an honor to share the platform with a lot of scholarship community, as well as Dr. Shion Ajay. And thank you, Mrs. Paul, for organizing this wonderful platform. Thank you.
You. Okay. Alario, let's go with you.
Okay, now no know say I want to introduce myself with again. Oga don't finish talk. Don't be that say I no go school. All right. Okay. My name is Aaron. On Twitter, known as Alario of Scholarship Land. Self-acclaimed title, anyways. Glad to be here with Mrs. O and the two great scholars for all they've been doing. I'm a microbiologist by my first degree. After that, I ran away very quickly from microbiology because of I wasn't too good in the lab, and so I deviated to public health. I did public health master's degree under the Commonwealth shared scholarship in the UK. Went back to Nigeria, worked for a while, and then currently doing a PhD in public health and social work in Queensland University of Technology, Australia, under the Queensland University of Technology Postgraduate Research Awards. So yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go with you, Lucian.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. O, for this wonderful privilege to be on your channel. Thank you so much for the wonderful scholars here. My Oga at the top, Dr. Lumuiwa, and the Alario Scholarship himself. All right. So my name is Oluwaseun, third year PhD student at the University of Cincinnati here in the United States. My first degree was in biology at the Federal University of Technology, Accra. Futa is a very wonderful place. I know. I don't need to blow a trumpet. You guys know about it already. So at some point, I actually went for my master's program at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica. So some people might be surprised. Oh, why Jamaica? So we were the first set of people that got the Commonwealth Scholarship for low and middle income countries. So I was one of the first recipients of that scholarship. And so I think I did something related to occupational and environmental safety and health, So for my PhD, I went back to what I did in my first degree. So it was kind of wonderful. So thank you once again for bringing me here.
Thank you all so much. Thank you so much. So we'll just dive straight because we are trying to keep this short. So let's look at the different categories of scholarship that are available to study in the countries that we are looking at today. So Dr. Muyiwa is experienced with Australia, in fact, Canada, Asia, and what's the other country? Europe, yeah. And Dr. Oluwaseun will be helping us with US scholarships, and then Dr. Aaron will be taking scholarships in Australia and UK. So Canada is just there. I'll touch a bit of what I know, and maybe we will contribute for me as well when it comes to Canada. But it's important we cover all these areas because there's a lot of pressure with North America, and I don't understand why, when there are fantastic opportunities for people to go to Asia, go to Australia and other countries like that. So we'll be looking at the categories of scholarships that are available in all of these places. Let's even understand, the types of scholarships that each of these countries offer. Dr. Mira, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I had my master's in South Korea and I had my PhD in Germany, so I feel I have information about those continents. Like for instance, in Asia, myself and Dr. Shin, we made a document recently which he shared on this platform, and we grouped all the scholarship according to the continent. So for Asia, I think a lot of people don't want to hear about Asia because there are quite a lot of sentiments. Okay, you want to sell your kidney, you want to send your liver, which is more like infodemic. Like you really don't get the truth on social media when it's bombarded with a lot of information, which majorly they're not true. So you have the Chinese government scholarship, which is like the biggest scholarship in the world. They take a lot of applicants from different countries, and for the CSA, which I also had in 2013 for my masters, I had CSA and KGSP. The CSA covers the tuition, it covers the monthly payment, it covers the rent. If you have a family and you want to rent, you want to seek for accommodation outside, they subsidize it for you. And the only thing is that they do not cover your flight to China. Then we also have the ANSO scholarship, which is the Alliance Scholarship, which is majorly for sciences. And it's important to note that the CSC is for all categories, be it STEM and non-STEM. The ANSO is for STEM, basically STEM. And for the CSC, you have the age limit for masters is 35, and the age limit for PhD is 40. For the ANSO scholarship, it covers everything as well, excluding the flight ticket. And then the age limit for ANSO is 30, and for masters, and the PhD is 35. That is true. Then also we have the Ucas Scholarship, which is similar, like the Chinese Academy of Science organized that. So it's also similar to the ANSO Scholarship. For Korea, we have a KGSP, which is what I had for my masters. I like for anyone watching or listening, I had little or no hands-on experience. When I got to Korea, I was like deaf and dumb for 3 months in the lab. So even with a 3.95 CGPA I had. So KGSP offers tuition-free, flight, monthly health insurance, and at least stipends that could keep you and your family. And the age limit is for under 40. So if you are 40 years, you can apply for the master's and PhD. Now, the CSC and the KGSP, they also have undergrad scholarship, which it gives you like 5 years stay in China and also in Korea, which is like the government is investing a lot into that. So you can look out for that. Then we also have the Mest scholarship in Japan, which also provides undergrad and also graduate scholarship, which are fully funded. And it's easier than checking out all those in North America, which could be competitive. Another one is the Professor Scholarship in Asia, which a friend of mine with a 5 years gap after his master's just got recently. He's currently in Korea now for his PhD. So the professor pay for your tuition as well. Most schools, if you have a high ALTS score of over 7.0, you get free tuition, and the professor takes care of the stipends. That's for Asia. Then for Europe, you have the DAD scholarship, which I also applied for in 2015 when I was looking for PhD scholarship in Germany. And also we have the Erasmus scholarship, which a lot of our fans actually had recently. You have the Chevening, you have the Commonwealth, you have the Maths Mode Scholarship. It's for people in physical science, especially mathematics. It's in Italy, and they have this combination like exchange between Italy and Germany, and which is quite good to explore. Then in Europe, you also have the DFG for Germany, which is a typical professor scholarship, where professor can invite you. But now the trick is it's very difficult to get this kind of funding, especially if you're coming from a developing country, which you have your master's in developing countries. So these are the scholarships which are in Asia and Europe, and a lot of us had this on our pin post already, and the requirements which we'll probably touch later.
Thank you so much. I didn't know that in Korea they required IELTS.
Yeah, it is optional. I mean, it's optional, but I used to tell people it's not bad if you have an excess document. When I was applying for PhD in China, I did IELTS and I attached it, and I'm sorry to say, most of those Chinese or Korean professors, they do not speak good English, but that they are really smart, and they really do not base their judgment on your ability to speak English. But if you have that, then you're like a king in quotes. Yeah.
Okay, let's go with you, Aaron.
Okay, for the UK, basically, I'm just going to touch on the popular ones, which Doc has already mentioned, which, many people know about. So the Commonwealth Scholarship, which was the one I studied on. And, under this Commonwealth Scholarship, you've got the different streams of the Commonwealth Scholarship that is still offered by the, FCD or now. So you've got a Commonwealth Shared Scholar, which was the one I did for Masters. You've got a Commonwealth MSc and PhD Scholarship. You've got the Commonwealth Distance Learning Scholarship, which is also there for people who don't want to travel and they're going to do it maybe from their various countries. Then you've got other fellowships as well under the Commonwealth scheme. But for the Masters and PhD, it's the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is, my most preferred, obviously because I studied under that and because you have the opportunity to apply to, a lot of schools as long as if you meet the criteria for 60 schools, you can apply to 60 schools. So that gives you that opportunity to apply to as many schools which increases your chances of being awarded the scholarship. The second one, which is, again, very popular in the UK, is the Chevening Scholarship, which I applied again in 2015 or 16, but I wasn't fortunate. But that scholarship actually helped me to prepare my essays and strengthen my essays. So the essays that were rejected in the Chevening Scholarship, I sort of strengthened and then applied for the Commonwealth Scholarship, and then I got through. So those are sort of like the two basic ones in the UK that I'm aware of. But then there are lots of other university-funded scholarships, which have different names, funded by different people in different universities. I remember when I finished my master's in the UK, there was a master's scholarship I was going to apply in Cambridge and Oxford, which were fully funded scholarships. I can't remember their names now, but they were funded by the university. So, out of the 100+ universities in the UK, the trick is, under the scholarship pages, they have different scholarships that they offer. So that's like the first place to go for anyone who wants to look at. But then if you are thinking the UK, the two highlighted and most popular scholarships in the UK, from my experience, is the Commonwealth Scholarship and the Chevening Scholarship. Coming down to Australia, again, just like I've highlighted in the UK scholarship, there are lots of university-funded scholarships that are also there, which you can find on the scholarship pages. But the popular scholarships here, the first one which I'll mention is the Australia Awards, which offers masters to Nigerians and and African countries as well. They also, I think, they offer undergraduate degrees, undergraduate, masters, and PhD, but I'm not sure the undergraduate scholarship is applicable to Nigeria. So if you're thinking towards the Australia, or if you're thinking Australia, have a look at the Australia Awards. Again, there is what the Australian government does through the, I think, the Ministry of, through the Ministry of Education and Skills. So they give this the Research Training Program, RTP Scholarship. So that is like a bulk of funds that is given to Australian universities, and the universities now use it the way they decide based on different things. So the universities decide to either fund just your tuition, or they fund your tuition and your stipends. Some universities will fund your tuition, your stipends, your health insurance. So that bulk of money is just given to universities, and they decide how they want to award the scholarship. But then, for those who are watching, those who are listening, have a look at, just do a Google search, Rtp Scholarship Australia. So that is awarded basically to HDR students, so higher degree research students. So if you're thinking of a taught masters, that is not applicable to you under the RTP. But then for a masters by research, is, that's to your own advantage, because you can easily migrate on to PhD, and you have better opportunities when you are done with that. So the RTP Scholarship Research Training Program, if you just do a Google search, you find that, and you can find a list of universities that are under that scheme. And then you go through to the university website to see what they offer. Some scholarships that I'm on, for instance, scholarship I'm on, it's sort of guided by that same, some of the scholarship rules that apply to the RTP. So, but if you have it in mind to look at the RTP scholarship in Australia, then keep in mind that it has to be a master's by research, or it has to be a PhD scholarship. And if you're thinking master's by research, depending on the peculiarities and the criteria of the school, you might have to maybe write a research proposal. Some of the schools already have topics that you can write a proposal to and find a supervisor, just like if you're writing for a PhD. If it's a PhD, obviously, again, you will have to look for a supervisor, or some supervisors, or some schools already have advertised topics, and then you can express interest to those topics and apply. So in summary, in Australia, the RTP Scholarship and the Australian Awards, and that, of course, those very particular scholarships with different names that are offered by different Australian universities. Or you can find that in the scholarship pages of various universities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go with you.
Thank you so much. All right. So, in the United States, there are several categories of scholarships that an international student can actually apply to. But I'm going to be speaking on 3 categories only today, and I would like to start with the ones that are not quite popular. And then I will now move to the ones that many of us, actually want. So, we'll start with one that's related to kind of institutional based scholarships. So there are several institutions that might have funding for international students to go to the United States. So one of those is the Joint Japan World Bank Graduate Scholarship Program. So these are awarded to candidates from World Bank member countries. So for example, if you're a candidate from a developing countries that's under the World Bank, you have the privilege of actually applying to that. But the caveat to this is that you can only apply the scholarship to some 8 participating institutions, So like these top guys, Harvard University, University of Columbia. So that means your profile must be very, very on point for you to win the scholarship, because they have actually restricted to these 8 universities alone. So I'm not going to go into the details of that. Then I saw another one today, which is called the AAUW. So that is the American Association of University Women International Fellowship. So this is generally for women. So we have come to a point in the global development in which institutions, the governments are quite focused on minoritized groups and women. So this is a very good opportunity for people, who are not men. So if you are a woman, so this is a very good opportunity for you. So for you to really go to the United States on this. All right. So I'm going to go to the next one, which is the USA Government Scholarship. So the USA Government Scholarships for international students. One of these is the Foreign Fulbright Student Program. So I'm not going to go into details in this on this. So there was one particular I don't know, maybe he's from Kenya. I met him here. So he's a Kenyan international who came for program under this kind of Fulbright. So people have opportunity of doing this as well. So this is the major one I'm going to be talking about, is the university-based scholarship in the United States. And so fundings are given in form of teaching assistantship or research assistantship. So what happened is that, the university are gonna take care of your tuition while your stipend is gonna be taken care of. Maybe by your responsibility as a TA, which is a teaching assistant, or as a research assistant. So also, depending on wherever you go to in the United States, some universities also give that privilege of health insurance, just like what Alari was saying the other time. So they pay for your health insurance. For me, nobody pays for my health insurance, but I have the privilege of applying to about 80% of my health insurance. So there's this kind of they call it the graduate student health insurance award, that I can apply to, and with that, instead of paying the full amount of my student insurance award, I'm just paying very small amounts on that. So basically, those are the kind of tracks. So I'm talking majorly on the university-based scholarship because that is how most people come to the United States. So you reach out to a professor, you find a space, and this is basically for MSc research and PhD. For MSc thoughts, there are less fundings. Sometimes there are even no fundings for MSc thoughts. So you must actually look. So if you want to do something related to maybe an MSc thoughts program, USA might not be a good place for you, except if you have your money. But if it is MSc research or PhD, then you can come over here.
Thank you so much. That's interesting to know. So I'm just going to touch a bit on Canadian scholarship. So I would like to start from home. So if you're planning to come study in Canada, you can actually get scholarships from your home country. For example, people from Nigeria can get scholarships from Nigeria. If you work with the tertiary institution in Nigeria, you will know that there is something called Tech Fund. I know there are other types of scholarships. So you can access a scholarship from home to come study. But if that doesn't work for you, the way it didn't work for me, you can start to look at other scholarships that are obtainable in Canada. So we have different categories, just like Oluwaseun has mentioned in the US. We have the scholarships that are research grants, right? So these are basically scholarship from supervisors. Research grants is because an organization or the government wants to conduct an experiment or a research on a particular subject matter, and then they contract it to an institution. So it could be a professor in that school who has written the grants for that particular research. So now that research requires people to run the research. So that is how students can come in. So if you want to come in for masters, and this type of scholarship, this category is not just for science. So when people are crying out and saying there are no scholarships for arts, there are also research in arts-based subjects. So you can also access research, grants-based scholarship to come in to study. Then the second one is going to be the university scholarship. So those are like the internal scholarships. Now, this can be assessed by if you're running thought programs, it could be undergraduates. It's we have different categories under university scholarship. So it could be entrance scholarship, it could be scholarship by people who already have admission. There are some kind of scholarships that if you're still in your home country, you cannot access them. You should have an admission into the institution, then you can access those scholarships, like Kilam Scholarship. I don't know if I called the name properly. Other scholarships are external. So we have the third category now, which is the external scholarship. So you have like the MasterCard scholarship. Those are external scholarship, which is not necessarily offered by the school. They're external scholarship you can use to study in schools in Canada. You also have the Schlumberger Scholarship for women, which is also a form of external. So there are a lot of external scholarships. So basically, I like to categorize these things in three: the research grants. So in the research grant, we can also put the teaching assistantship and the research assistantship under that one. And then you have the university scholarship, which are the internal which are the internal scholarships. So you have the entrance scholarship, which whether you're art, science, undergraduate, whatever it is, you can access those ones. And then we have the external scholarships, and then we have the scholarships that you can get from your home. So I'm not going into the details of the names of the scholarship, but we'll go to the next question, and I'm sure we'll address a bit of this one there. So let's look at the first step in the right direction towards securing scholarship. So when somebody has woken up from sleep and say, okay, I want to come study in any of this country, what do I do? Where do they even start looking from? I get people come and send me messages and say, Mrs. O, do you have any agency that can get us scholarship? I'm like, that's step one that is wrong. So our scholars are going to let us know, are going to be letting us know the first step in the right direction. So when you've decided that you want to come study abroad and you want to assess, you don't want to pay for your studies yourself, or you cannot afford it. So what is the first thing for you to do in the right direction towards this? Oluwaseun, we'll start from you. Let's go.
All right. Thank you so much. So I would say number one, build a scholarship profile. Before you try to even think about reaching out to anybody, the first thing is build a scholarship profile. So what do I mean by scholarship profile? It means you have to build the necessary portfolio that will help you to be able to reach out to anybody you want to reach out to. So your academic credentials, do you have a very good CGPA? Can you show the evidence of that CGPA in terms of transcripts? I've seen people reach out to me and you're like, okay, where's your transcript? Can I see it? They don't have their transcript. And you want to start, reaching out to professor. It's like you're actually setting the horse before, or the cat before the horse. It does not make sense. So just like I was saying in a very broad overview, is that build a scholarship profile. So I said something about having a very good academic credentials, which can be shown in terms of evidence in your transcripts. It can be shown in the evidence of your research experience, especially if you are applying for a PhD program, and the next one is, have the necessary exams done, Dr. Luther was saying something about, you can't be overqualified. The best is even better to be overqualified, because you can be underqualified. Most times people are underqualified, but you can't be overqualified. So have the necessary things you need to, is English test, write it. If you don't want to write English test, do you have a letter of proficiency from your university? Those are the things that you must have. Those documents are very important. Write TOEFL. If you want to come to the United States, because this pandemic will be over and most universities are going to resume back to requesting for GRE. Do you want to start writing your GRE? Do you want to start, as in gathering fund to write those exams? Then again, are there gaps in your research experience? Are there gaps in your academic experience? Fill them up. Do volunteering stuff. Engage in extracurricular activities. Do leadership. If you're staying in university, do leadership stuff. Be part of SUG. Those things are good. Be involved in environmental associations. This, because they don't want people who are just dummies. I know that for sure. When it comes to Commonwealth Scholarship, they don't want dummies alone. They don't want people who are just first class or 2-1. They want people who have shown leadership experience in the past. They're going to ask you this kind of questions. Have you shown leadership in the past? They are going to ask you something related to extracurricular activities. You have to show that. So I was saying something about building up, like bridging the gap. For example, you finish with 2-2, for example, or you finish with top class. The best thing is for you to seek an higher degree, maybe in Nigeria, before you try and look for something elsewhere. Those are the kind of things you must think before you now start, seeking out for, or reaching out to professors. Because you don't want to reach out to a professor and the professor asks you to send. I'm saying this because this comes to someone that I know personally. The professor was even willing. What happened is that the person does not really have a direct research experience in the field the person is interested in. But the professor was not, the professor didn't mind. The professor still want to take that person in. But professor kept asking about, the transcript. Where's your transcript? Where's your transcript? Where's your transcript? Until he got tired and was like, no, we can't take, something like that. So it is very important. So someone was laughing about SUG. It's important to do it, even if you can't do student union government, do departmental associations. Just get involved. It might be faith-based organization. It might be writers club. Those things are important. They don't want just people who are just, you're going to submit your CV and the only thing about your CV is academics. They're going to look at that you are not robust, you are not balanced, something like that. So I think I've been able to lay that foundation, and Aaron and Dr. Muiwa can build on what I just said. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
want to talk.
regarding what you said about volunteer positions, I mean, this is the era of digitization. You can do digital volunteer just like what Olumiwa is doing. So you can help people online. There are a lot of platforms where people need voluntary services. I had someone who was helping me review people's CV and stuff. So these are things you can also engage in if you don't have the opportunity of doing physical voluntary services. I was just going to chip that in. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, so Oluwaseun has touched a great deal on this, but if you're new, like you're just listening, maybe somehow you stumble on this link and this is your first time hearing about scholarships. Now, we've talked about Europe, we've talked about US, we've talked about UK, we've talked about Australia and Canada. First thing to do, I would advise, Oluwaseun has touched on IELTS and all of those exams. If you are new here, you're just listening, you're wondering, where do I start from? I'll tell you where to start from. Go to Doc's page or Lumiyoa's page and go and dissect his pinned tweets. Just go there. Once you read that pinned thread, go to Oluwaseun's. My own, I don't have a pinned thread. I just shout what they have put here. The one and some other people. There are pinned threads. Honestly,
by the way,
just go and study those pinned threads.
I'll post the link to Olumuyiwa's pinned tweet. I'll put it on the description box, so anybody can just go there. Yes. If you're watching this live session and you're wondering, you can. In fact, I'm going to put the link of all of 3 of the scholars I have here, so you guys can go there. And in fact, it's like a book, so you just read and learn.
Yeah, so I mean, that is a starting point. If you read that pinned thread, you don't need to go anywhere. Then that pinned thread will lead you to other scholars. Like I tell people who reach out to me, I want to apply for this. I just tell them, go to my page. I retweet scholarship opportunities every day because I am tagged every day. Then follow all the scholars I retweet every day. Read their pinned tweets. If you do that, you will be fine. If that is the first route that I will advise, if you're just joining, you're wondering scholarships, how do I start and where do I go from here after this chat, go to Twitter and dissect those threads. But again, if you go there and you want to balance it up, if you're thinking of coming to UK, you're thinking of coming to Australia where I am, or you're thinking of going to the UK where I did my master's, do a general Google search. Scholarships in UK, scholarships in Australia, scholarships in USA. You will have options. Then you streamline and have your own book. These are the scholarships you want to. Then you begin to, draw out a list of, okay, this scholarship, I meet the criteria. Okay, I didn't meet the criteria for this one. It's closed for this year. It's opening by July next year. What do I need to put in place before July next year? You begin to write your essays. We review tons of essays every day, based on our own times and all of that. You reach out to scholars, they do this for free. We do this for free, depending on how our time scale. You prepare your essays, get your IELTS scores. Just as Oluwaseun has said, I always advise people who reach out to me about scholarships. I tell them, take IELTS. If you want to go to English-speaking countries, UK, Australia, Canada, try and take IELTS. You might get exemptions in some instances, but the danger is you might miss out on better opportunities if you don't take some of these exams, because some schools are very firm. They'll tell you, you have all the beautiful results, but it's a matter of policy. You have to provide it. It is not about how good you are. It's not about your qualifications or anything. It's about their policies. So you will be watching the fund. You're going to see say scholarship will lost for your eye like this because you write exams. Apologies to people who are not Nigerians and do not understand the pidgin English I've just spoken. But then try and take some of these exams. Oluwaseun has reiterated and said some of these exams, some GRE, for instance, in the US, they will revert to these exams after the pandemic. So if you're thinking English language speaking countries, try and take IELTS. The exams are pricey, we understand, but you can plan towards this long term, So for me, first attempt for anybody listening, anybody who is just joining and does not have any idea about scholarships. In fact, if this is the first day you are hearing the word scholarship, after this tweet, after this session, go to Twitter, any of our pages. If you go to any of our pages, you will find the other people. We'll always signpost you to where you can go to. If that is hard, do a general Google search, scholarships in Canada, scholarship in Europe, scholarships in UK, scholarships in Australia, they will pop up. In fact, everything I'm saying, everything we are saying here are things we researched on our own and found on Google.
Yeah.
And because of the added experience or the fact that we were privileged to have benefited from some of these scholarships, so we talk from an insider perspective. But research is the means, and when we say research, it's a big word, but it means just go to Google and type these things. It will come up. Then you begin to streamline your, do you need to put up more skills by volunteering or writing IELTS, writing GRE or other exams, and then you begin to prepare towards them. So that's the first step for anybody who wants to start the journey for scholarships. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. I'm just going to add to what Alaru and Dr. Shane was said. One thing I would always advise people, like when they ask me, "Oh, how do I land scholarship?" I always feel this sense of being desperate. And I used to say, like, if you want to leave Nigeria tomorrow on scholarship, then I don't have you're not my audience. So it's a gradual process. Like one, if you're coming with a Japa mentality, I'm sorry, it will not work. It's not like I'm realistic. You may not like me, but I used to tell people, if you have 70% intention to do good research, you want to solve a problem, trust me, funding will run after you. I just got a message from someone that used my code email format and he landed a PhD position with stipend in UBC.
Hmm.
Kudos, Futerian, now and again. so, like, just use materials. And like yesterday, I engaged in a conversation with someone that said he wanted to apply for fully funded scholarship, and the agent required $300 and he's gonna pay another $200 for application fee. I'll be like, why not invest that $300 on GRE?
Sorry, are there agents that get scholarships for people? Because I want to know if I'm the only one that is confused.
I'm an agent.
now,
Like,
premium tiers. That's it. I mean, people also issue labor market impact assessment in Canada for. So when this particular person, when I told him to go use the money to write GRE, he doesn't even understand what GRE is all about. So back to what Alari said, normalize the use of Google. I mean, it's always tiring, and in the last 9 months, I've learned so much. Like when I was the president of my department, I mean, one of the thing I could think about, I regret, was putting the guy in the cell for like 3 days because he couldn't deliver the incentive I gave him. I do not have patience. But in the last 9 months, I've been able to build that kind of patience level that when people ask you, what is the meaning of IELTS, I reply. How much does IELTS cost? I reply. Well, please. And I used to say it as well. People will write to you like, doc, are you sure I can get fully funded scholarship with a GPA of 3.2 or 4.0? I'm not an admission committee.
yeah.
No one on social media will give you a verdict like you can fit into the scholarship. So one, the Japa mentality, keep it aside. Yeah, we know everybody wants to Japa. I understand. Two, do not panic because a lot of people are going through rejections now. I think one thing that really matters is like along the way, maybe they've been sold a lot of sensational ideas like, oh, if you write the professor, you will land the scholarship. Sending a code email does not even guarantee a scholarship. Then it's important to prepare in advance. I tell people, okay, you're interested in Chinese government scholarship. I told people, if you want me to review your SOP for 2022, you can book it. I mean, that's me. I plan what I want to do in 2 years in advance. The cover letter I wanted to do, apply for a job in 2 years, it's already in my folder. I keep a track of things I do. When I was in Korea and my professor said he was going to offer me PhD, I said, okay, fine. But I was already applying elsewhere. And when he said the grant was not funded, I was like, okay, I have to go back home. Yeah. But I already got 2 offers in China, 1 in Germany. So apply in advance. Like Oluwashen said, invest in leadership. I was the FinSec of my department, those little things. I was the president of my department. When I got to camp, the people going for CDS, don't just go there and go and say, camp is just a waste of time. There was someone that landed 3 fully funded PhD. The guys from Ekiti State, he used all his money to write GR, to write tests. Don't just have fun. Yes, I had my first freedom when I went for NYC, but I was focused. Not just about going for party. It's 1 year. It will soon knock, and before you know, no more Alawi. So it's important to tailor what you want to do. And again, for those that do not have hands-on experience, I've reviewed so many CVs and SOP, and I'm sorry to say we're in trouble, really, because I mean, myself and Oluwaseun at the point last two weeks.
Sir.
Yeah, we plan to still organize a session on how to write code email and also how to write CV. The CV I've reviewed so far, even with people with 4.8, they are total bullshit, I'm sorry to say. If you have a first class from Germany, if you have a first class from Canada, it's drilling. And that is why people say, okay, if you come abroad, it's easy to get grades. No, it's not easy because they will drill you. A lot of people I don't think anyone among us have a like fun fear tale about grad school. So go online out there. You don't have to pay people to write CV. It is your story. It is your life. Go there. Your research interest. I've reviewed CV with profile summary of half a page. What are you writing? If you're applying for yesterday, I was talking about remove primary school certificate from your CV. A lot of people felt like, no, we will not remove it. If you're coming to North America, remove it. You can keep it in your catchment area in Nigeria. I also applied for a GA position in Nigeria, which I've shared my CV. I had all this number of children, date of birth, local government of origin, and age, and blah, blah, blah. All because it's like catchment area, but not America. It's different. In Europe, yeah, people use Europa. Even when I was applying to Germany, I do not use Europa. And you have to understand every details about this country. In Europe, okay, I don't know in the UK, but in Germany, pictures are allowed. In Canada, pictures are not allowed. Now it's them again to the professor you're writing. The professor you're writing might be a free person. Then again, we talk about the issue of like STEM. We know STEM is the big deal now. If you've done accounting, if you've done finance, I'm sorry to say, there are limited opportunity. There's this lady that just got Erasmus, and I engaged her last year, and she did management. She had 4.82, and I was like arguing with her. You need to connect management to STEM. My wife did maths and FUTA. When she got to Germany, she did business information system. She's working in tech now. So you need to combine those things. This lady eventually, I didn't even believe in Coursera. She went to Coursera. She did a course, connected management with digital innovation. Now she got Erasmus. So people tell you there is no scholarship in art, there is no scholarship in humanity. When you want Dr. Ajayi only post STEM. No, the reality is STEM is well funded. You don't hardly will you find you hardly find professors in management that even have a website. So a professor that doesn't even have a website probably doesn't have funding. So, and also, it's important to understand what you want to do. Course taught, someone asked about masters or research. See, if you're applying for course taught, especially MBA, bring your 150,000 Canadian dollars to UBC. Nobody's going to sponsor you. That's the reality. On KGSP, I mean, encouraging someone to consider KGSP for MBA. She was like, I can't go to Korea. I said, okay, man, no problem. So it's important to be realistic in this journey. Like, one, you're not getting free money from anywhere. You have to invest, like Dr. Ajayi said. You can only be underqualified. And in terms of rejection, which I think we want to address, and every other scholar here should always address on our platform, like, I mean, in a particular application this year in the university, they received about 300 applications, and they were going to take 35. Tell me, how would they rank them? CGPA, publications. So if you just got off undergrad, invest in publishing your thesis. You're fresh out of the system. Invest in networking. People come to us to ask us for recommendation letters. I cannot give you. In what capacity? I met you on Twitter. You comment on my post. I can attest to the fact that you're good in research. No. So invest in relationship. I mean, professors, people, we're in academia. I mean, Mrs. O, she's a PhD student. All of us are in academia. We're always stressed. I get messages like, Dr. Mi, you are high. 1 in 1,000. Dr. Mi, you are high. How are you doing today? I'm just checking on you. And I was like, wow, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest will be like, Dr. Mi, this is my CV. This is my SOP.
Yeah, that's true.
One was forcing money down your throat to read.
Oftentimes when it comes to me, I just had a bad day in the lab.
Sometimes I don't even check my WhatsApp. Like, I don't want to click on it because I don't know what I'm going to see. Like,
It's look, I mean,
out already,
so now a lot of your fans wrote me on Instagram, like it's still in their request message. They will write you on Instagram.
A lot of my fans.
They said I was supposed to on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I'll be like, when I wake up every morning to see my LinkedIn, like, 50 messages, God, please let it just be congratulations on your work anniversary. I mean, it's like, and when you tell people like, okay, do this thing DIY, they'd be like, no. So it's important to like invest in yourself. And again, please, if you're applying for scholarship, like I said earlier, prepare in advance. You do not need any one of us here to review your SOP. I mean, when I was doing my PhD, my boss asked me like, Joby, you did not read most of your sentences. They were actually incomplete. Why not send it to your friends? Because when I was typing, I was actually chewing it in my mouth, and I didn't know and I didn't know that I made a lot of mistakes. I sent it to guys. They sent in back their comments. So I tell people, don't. Yesterday, someone said, "Oh, Dr. Miwa, can you review for me?" I said, "I won't be available until July." I was like, "Why?" Oh, I mean, I was behind. I'm a postdoc. I'm a vice president of postdoc transition in UBC. I'm an husband to a beautiful woman that needs my time. I mean,
Like, do you have to explain to people why?
you have to. You have to. You have to. So that's just my take about it.
Wow. Anyways, in fact, I'm going to do a summary of what you guys have said because I've been taking my notes down. So basically, the first thing to do, the first step in the right direction, if you're thinking scholarship, you don't want to pay for your graduate or undergraduate, is to start from Google. Make your list. Start from Google, have your list. People are asking questions here. Can you put a list of scholarships? Nobody has a complete list of all the scholarships. It's true that Dr. Muiwa has a pin post and all those stuff,
A
but
lot of people
I'm very
don't.
sure there are.
I'm sorry to just comment. A lot of people don't read my pin post because, like, when I receive over 200 CVs and SOP, I just write them. Okay, I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit. I just said, okay, kindly send it to me when you've checked my pin post, and 80% said okay. So when I opened these CVs, I realized that these people didn't even check my pin post. Some people even complain that, doctor, the CV you posted is the headings doesn't fit into mine. I didn't have
they won't tell you that your pin post is too long. Can you summarize?
Wow.
Like, for example,
I think people who truly want scholarships will do this. So that is even saving the people for you. So there are people who are, they just want to jab, and there are people who truly want scholarship.
Yeah.
If you truly want the scholarship, you would know that those pin tweets are not too long, right? So you would go dive into them. So I think the most important thing, aside from all these pin posts, are just extra resources. But like I say, scholarship is something you can do by yourself. There's nothing like paying somebody to get you scholarship. It does not exist. It does not exist. Scholarship is DIY. Like, you have to do it yourself. You have to start from making a list for everything you do. Even if you want to work, have a list of where are the places I'm going to submit up. You can't just be applying to random jobs that you don't even know if you're qualified for. You don't even know what the requirements are. So I like to tell people, have a list. That's the basic place to start from. Have your list. Make use of Google. That's the first place I like for, to tell people to start from. And when you have your list, you can now start knowing, okay, which of them am I missing any requirements? For example, Commonwealth Scholarship requires this. Am I missing something here? Then you start to work, just like Dr. Muiwa said. It's a process. So once you have your list, you have something. Okay, do you want to just focus on research-based scholarship? You can also do that. You can say, okay, fine, I'm not in for, I don't want to do the competition, writing scholarship. You can focus on research-based. Then in that case, you have to leverage on the skills that you have. So what are the skills you have that you're bringing to the supervisor? So it's important for you to at least start from having your list, narrow it down. There are a lot of information. I'm not going to lie. I get confused on Twitter. That's why I try to follow just very few people that will not confuse me. There are a lot of information on Twitter. And imagine me at this level being confused. So imagine somebody who has zero experience about these things. So you can keep your circle small. If you want to focus on Dr. Muyiwa, fine, as your extra support or extra resources place. But you see Google, you must start from Google. Search. All these people asking questions about list and stuff. I know Dr. Muyiwa has a list of scholarship. I know Oluwaseun has, and Aaron has as well. But there might be one or two you will see on Google that are not on their tweets. So why don't you start from Google? Google has like all the categories. You can, just like Aaron said, search for scholarships in Japan, scholarships here, and that's a good starting point. If you ask me, that is a good starting point. Have your list, have a list of the requirements from each of the scholarships you're looking at, and start to know the gaps you need to fill. Do you need volunteer experience? Okay, fine. I graduated with 2-2, third class. I'm not able to get this one. But if I go for 1 year master's or 2 years master's in Nigeria, it will help me get into this. And I tell people, when you're sending cold email, sometimes you're writing a very I read cold emails, very fantastic. Oh, the person has put a lot of skills. But trust me, if you're shooting me the email and I'm a supervisor and I don't have those equipment in my lab, it's nice though, it's fine, but I will not accept you, because I cannot go and start buying new machine because of you, one student, and I cannot afford to pay for the services. For example, you're doing you're trying to do sequence your genome, and somebody doesn't have that machine in their lab, and they are not willing to pay the GenScript or any other company. They will not accept you. So when I tell people, read the journal, read the methods, follow the trend. What are the trend in the methods this supervisor is using? And then those are the things you pitch to the person. The person will say, okay, I can connect to this. I have these things, so I have nothing to lose. I'll just pay, stipends to the student, and they will take you. Do you understand? So I think the first thing is to search. And once you search, you have your list, and then you start to look at the requirements. So those are like the basic 3 places to start from. So let's dive into the next question. I don't know if any of you want to add anything here. Otherwise,
I want to add something to what you said about, your research aligning with your advisor. It's very important. Some people have very brilliant ideas in their head, and they're like, oh, this person is going to like it. But these guys are humans, they know what they can write over here to get grants that they need. So if you like, carry that novel idea, they write every professor with it. Some of them will not take you, and you'll be wondering why. Because once they are not enthusiastic about what you want to do, because your advisor must be pretty interested in what you want to do before he's going to commit himself to it, So that way, I always tell people, like, be doing like a sheep, like be telling the person, okay, I like this area you want to do, I'm going to do it. But when you now come around, you can now tweak it a little bit to fit your own interest. But if you're like, this is what I want to do, that is totally different from what the lab is doing. My brother, you have problem.
That's true.
Yeah. Can I just add something to that? I remember just buttressing on what Oluwaseun has said regarding tweaking, So when I wrote my proposal for a PhD, I proposed a mixed method study, from Nigeria. And my PhD has a focus on Nigeria. But anytime I wrote supervisors, because I knew that some of them, they have focus in they don't have focus for international context. Some of them, they want to do within their country, and because of funding, I always end with a line, something in the tune of, I am open to taking suggestions from you to allow my proposal suit your context, So my proposal was for Nigeria, but I'm telling you that if you want us to do this thing for Australia, we feel run amok. Just tell me what I need to do to make it suit that context. And it was just a line I was replicating in all of the people I wrote. Fortunately for me, they loved the idea, and I got tons of supervisors, and everybody loved the idea of Nigeria. But then that's just a line could change that. The supervisor gets the idea that, okay, yeah, I might be able to work with this person here or in another country. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think I just want to talk about this issue of reaching out a professor. I think I made a post recently. It was someone that made a blog post about generic emails and all the stuff like that. Like you don't just write a lab and say, oh, I'm interested in your research. Oluwaseun already made mention of that before now. Like, what are you really interested in? Don't just pick generic methods like, okay, you see this email, chassis, you see this email, put them. Like you just send 100 email in a day. I had someone that just got an offer in UBC and he complained he had about 100 rejections. I was like, okay, calm down. Don't send any mail anymore. Send me your code email. And I realized the first sentence in the code email was actually criticizing the lab's work.
Wow.
Like, I read your publication on this and this. It would have been nice if you tweak it this way. And I was like, okay.
Reviewer two.
Yeah. So, like, the approach really matters. I read one last week and it was like, well, it started with Professor, so in my country, so the victims are the Nigerian government. I was like, are you starting with emotional statement?
That's emotional blackmail.
Yeah, I tell people stay away from emotional blackmail. I mean, someone wrote on the CSS study plan that I shared, which I said I'm looking forward to represent the CSC government scholarship as an ambassador and return to my country, which is a giant of Africa. See, you write IELTS now. They tell you to write something. Like the last time I wrote IELTS, like write something on a toy you just ordered. I don't get toy. I don't know toy. I mean, if it's loaded raw, like you have to like explain yourself. Okay, I'm interested in your research, specifically your publication on so caught my attention, and I'm curious because I'm intellectually curious. I'm curious if we can have a time to chat and I can ask questions. That professor will realize that, oh, this person actually read a paper. But because you want to japa, you just see a professor, you just write the professor. Professor, how are you? How are you and your family today? Honorable dear professor.
Dr. Muyo, some people actually just copy the title. I read your paper published. And my own is, have you read the methods? Because if the supervisor wants to talk to you, you don't want to know, okay, do you even understand what this paper is about?
And see, proposal is even easy to write. You know why? Because you just have to go to their publication, pick their maths and method, put time.
Yeah.
It's easy. So, like, you really have to, I keep saying it, grad school journey, you have to be intentional. Because if you're not intentional, you'll get roasted along the way, even if you get the offer. That's it.
Yeah, true. I have this experience. I'm just going to quickly share it. So I've been in my lab for 3 years, and within just 3 years, we are full. The lab is full. But each time somebody sends an email to my supervisor and pitches those skills he's looking for, because these days where everybody is going digital, right? So he's looking at more of transcriptomy studies, proteomics, and all that. Whenever somebody pitches, so if you actually study the man's paper, if you study the method, you will see the transition, you will see the trends, you will know what to pitch next. Even if you're not so good at that, go and read about the methods. It's okay. The man is very open. Like, even when you come and you're not like 100% good in those areas, but at least you have the basic. Nobody is perfect, right? People, that's why we are coming in as students. That's why we are PhD students, masters. That's why you're not a professional, right? So if you study, I said, follow the trend. What pattern? How is the supervisor's research, like, what is it targeting on? Go and pitch what the next thing in front. If you follow the trend, you will know the next thing in front and you will know what to pitch. So that's making a right pitch as against just making a good pitch. Yeah, you might be making something really good. Yeah, it makes sense, but that's not what the person is looking for. Mind you, some of these supervisors, they already have the grants and they wrote that grant for that particular research. So if you're saying something outside the scope of that, they will not answer you, even if they like it. Maybe they'll say, okay, wait, maybe when next I write another research, we'll consider you. But for them, they won't. So within these 3 years, my supervisor has taken 3 new people. And this is a lab that is full, that the man is claiming that there is no grant. That's because they are still pitching what we are struggling with in the lab. So he knows, okay, maybe this one will help us. This one will help us. And that's why he's accepting them. So yeah. Let's just dive straight. I think we even touched on the third question, honestly. Like, we touched on the third question. So talking about
maybe we can respond to some of the questions they have, because I can see some of the questions.
I think we can go through the questions as well. I really like that.
I'm
Some of
going
those
to go through questions. Once we are done, with the things we have outlined, I'll go and pick up questions that we've not touched on. So let's look at, the basic principles towards securing this. So I think we've talked about that, the basic principles. So it's just basically aligning. I don't know if you guys want to add something to that on the basic principles towards securing scholarship.
One of the things I'm going to say,
like, what is the secret recipe? I know there's no secret, but I mean, what is that the nitty-gritty, the most important thing in securing the scholarships. And we can add it with, the drafting of scholarship essays, motivation letters, SOPs. I just want to match the two questions so we can wrap up on time. Yeah, Oluwaseun, we wanted to go first.
Yeah, I think Dr. Olumuya said something very important. You have to be intentional, very important. Like, this is what I want to do. The approach you're going to give to applying to a Commonwealth Share Scholarship is not the same approach you're going to give to Erasmus. It's not the same approach you're going to give to USA kind of scholarship. For example, for most application in the United States, you don't have to prepare a research proposal. Nobody wants to see that. But when you're applying to UK, for example, for that Commonwealth Masters and PhD scholarship, you have to write a proposal that someone will be interested in, So you have to be intentional. So this is what I'm doing at this point in time. What do I need? So I'm just trying to flesh in that up. Yeah, he has said so many things about that. Then one other thing I would like to touch on, because of our time, so I don't want to waste time, so that everyone can also speak about that, is being persistent. Some of us, we are not lucky enough to get in at our first attempt. The beauty of it is that, I only applied twice to the United States. I mean, in one admission cycle, I applied to 2 schools, and it was only the school that I got an advisor that I got admitted into. That was my first attempt at even applying to United States. I tried I wanted to try when I wanted to do something. I wanted to apply for masters at some point, and because I didn't have my GRE, I didn't follow it up, so I stopped. But when I was now intentional about United States, I told my friend, just help me register for GRE. I send me money, and that was it. I prepared for the exam. I got my exam score text. Exam test reports. And I started diving into mailing supervisors. The only person that gave me a very positive response was the lab I'm currently working in. So, but before then, I don't apply. I don't apply to Brazil. I've applied to Japan. I've applied to Hong Kong. I've applied to UK. So I've done several things, but I didn't give up. So persistency is very important. And the reason why we are doing this is because we don't want you to apply to 100 places before you get in. We want to shorten that journey for you. So sometimes the reason why some of us apply to 100 places is because we didn't have the right set of information at that point in time. So we were wasting time, But at the same time, just because we are trying to shorten the journey does not mean that the journey might be shortened in the real sense of things. So you might face some kind of difficulties. You might receive some love letters, like we often call those things. But you shouldn't give up on that. Make many attempts, try as many as possible. Diversify. I always tell people, diversify. Don't just focus on one place. Diversify. All right, because of our time, I'm going to just allow the next person to talk.
Thank you.
So here on, you want to go first?
Aaron, you can go first if you want. Can you hear us?
I think it's frozen.
Okay, I can go.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about the basic principle of getting to secure scholarship is one. You have to focus on. Fine. We cannot underestimate the role of good CGPA for people still in the university. Do not let them deceive you that CGPA is a scam. Please, you don't want to come out and be asking who you are. How can I get fully funded with 1.5 CGPA? It's we need to be realistic. Yeah, it's hard out there, and a lot of people, if you can afford to go to the UK, you can even go with your third class, but the funding is not there. So again, you have to think about your SOP, like Dr. Sheena said, it has to be specific. People contact me for SOP in law, in finance, because there's this general notion that when you have a PhD, you know everything. See, I can only talk about STEM. I just I don't know about the flow in law. I don't know about the flow in finance. I don't know about the flow in economics. It's important. You check for the guidelines, and you can see even most of those schools, they have a guideline of what to follow. Yesterday, I posted a university in the UK that I wrote about do not put jargon such as so in the SOP. So the detailed one quality of a good grad student is like you're detailed, you're well organized, because you'll be writing papers. You think about hypotheses. I have a bunch of papers on my table in the lab. Like I just pick the abstract of maths and method and I'm off. So you have to think about your SOP, like, but less emotional about it. You can be emotional probably if, like, Alari's case, like he wrote about what led him to public health, and it's you have to justify what you're writing, not like, because I do not have a shoe, I do not have electricity, we do not have pipe-borne water. Yes, there are a lot of most of these developed countries too, they have suburbs that people are suffering. Here in Canada, most Canadians can't even afford the tuition fee for the universities. So you have to be realistic. Like the money, it's like taxpayer money, and they want to use it for people that really deserve it. But then again, you have to focus on your hand-on experience. This is one thing I'm still fighting for in the field of life science, especially microbiology, in my own university. It's hard to get funding outside without the hands-on experience. As a microbiologist, you know nothing about PCR. You're writing in your SOP that you're looking forward to learn PCR. Hey, it's a machine. That's the basis of molecular biology. I mean, you don't even know what Western blot is. It's like no one is going to take you as a master's student. In, in Korea,
Aaron, you're on that table.
in Korea, I spent time in the lab running gel, and mine was even native page. Like you do not put is it SDS or something. So like I took time I will run it. I was doing catalyst test. So you run it, you put it, I will take the picture is smeared, is this, is that, and
But Muyua, the truth is, these things are not obtainable in Nigeria. Even if they are, it's very limited.
They are. That's the point. That's
But
people.
compared to the graduates we have, the facilities we have it's like this. The differences.
That's the point. Like when you get to an interview, you when they ask you how do you isolate DNA, you'll be like, what is DNA? You don't even know it. But I mean, maybe Dr. shouldn't remember, Larry. Recently, I wrote something about that, and people said in the NMI, Nigerian Medical Research Institute in Lagos, in Redeemers, I mean, like Redeemers, like which is mentored and supervised by Professor Api. They have all those equipment. Now the question is, are people open to going there? Now the it's tricky because the one in Lagos you have to pay for to even be an intern. So yeah, it's a big deal. But if you have somewhere you can volunteer for free, or if you have to pay, please, I'm begging you, as a microbiologist with an experience in the field, go there and learn. Then again, volunteering, like Shion said before, there are a lot of volunteering online. Please try and volunteer. What I'm doing, when I write about mine now, there's a question of inclusion and diversity in your SOP. You have to think about your inclusion and diversity statement. A lot of people come on social media and say, I cannot marry from Yoruba, I cannot marry from Igbo. See, if I become a professor, I'm not bragging. I'll ask for your social media handle. I want to see what you represent. Your inclusion statement, we are religious. But my inclusion statement, I respect everyone, regardless. And that's why Professor Christian said, remove all those your nationality, religion from your CV.
Yeah.
You have to like your inclusion statement. How do you foster inclusion? In my inclusion statement, I foster inclusion by going on social media, encourage people from different continents for grad school. That's my inclusion statement. I review CV and SOP. That's my inclusion statement. You have to look deep. Like all those things you're doing for fun. You are actually, I talk to people from India. I talk to people from Ghana. I talk to women. If you write me today and you're a lady, I'm sorry to say I might be sexist, but I give much preference because we need more women in science. That's my inclusion statement. That's how I foster inclusion. So you have to put it there. And your good communication skill. Yesterday I posted about a school in Sweden. You have to address some questions, your research skills, why you think you deserve this program. If you cannot connect the dots, if you're just saying, I'm looking forward to traveling to Germany because it's the bedrock of Europe. You want to go to Korea because you fell in love with Korea drama. What are you bringing along?
Yeah.
There's no, like Ejisha said, see, we are begging, we are beggars for funding. Our government know they give us. You are begging. So you have to justify why you are begging for that fund. No, be only you qualify. Apart from the fact that you're hardworking, grace also work. Then you have to think about your publications. Like I said earlier, there is no way you can write about the fact that you are qualified to be a scientist if you cannot show publications. You're taught like as a, you like hypothesis. How do you research questions are always better explained when you show your publication. When I was in Nigeria as well, see, like all these Indian journals, I had one publication there, no impact factor. They reviewed it within 24 hours. I was like, what? The second one I sent to them, they sent it back to me in 24 hours. I said, no, I'll pay $100. You go back to me within 24 hours. What's in the happen now? I had to send it to Science Domain. Science Domain, they painted it with comment. I didn't even ask those guys to return my money. But just when I was doing when I wanted to defend my PhD, I was surprised when my German boss said I should list all those papers. Sometimes people don't care about impact factor, and science is even. It's like it's all about politics. All the nature, the science, you don't really get the crude ideas from them.
Yeah. True.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
That's,
true.
There are professors that don't even believe in nature or science.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I've read
myself.
I've read some
Yeah.
journal
I
articles
will
in
share
Nature,
something
and you're
recently.
like, what is this? And
Yeah.
like, what
True.
is this?
Yeah, you read nature and science.
Everything has become political.
You read nature in nature and science. You recommend your PhD, which are editorial stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. True.
So you need to publish. Like, don't tell me you don't have publications. Don't tell me, sir, you are coming out of university. You published you wrote a thesis. Don't just dump it like, okay, give me my grade. I want to go. The reality is coming to ask you questions outside. So it's important as well. Write test, GRE, please. A lot of people. I was surprised when University of Alabama gave a lot of people PhD admission without funding. Like, how do they survive? So I guess they're just feeling like, okay, you will not tell us we didn't give you admission. Okay, we've given you admission. Go and look for funding. And this is only applicable if you are coming from China. The government will sponsor you. They give you money. Go there. Buhari will not give you funding to go to University of Alabama. So if you're gonna take that GRE, please invest in it. And like someone said yesterday in a WhatsApp group that belong, a lot of people, the mobile phone they use is more than the amount for GRE. We have to be realistic. So it's important to invest in your future now, so that like all those people believe asking Canada in Jesus' name, Canada in Jesus' name. UBC will not. You will just. I mean, the last time I wrote the vice president student in UBC for application fee waiver, you want to waste 162 Canadian dollars to apply for UBC, which no go take you. So it's important to be realistic with your journey. Fine. Alariwo is in Australia, Sharon is in the US, Mrs. O is in Canada. You also want to be like us. Well, come off it. We didn't apply with scanty CV or expertise. Even the ones I do not have, then I serve in NISLT, but unfortunately, the institute is not more like the way it used to be. I had little experience in cloning. Even I was just a Kalari. I already ruled out microbiology. I was frustrated. I wanted to go to public health. I got admission in UI for public health, and I just thought about my life. Okay, I've always wanted to be like in politics. I want to be there, cheering people. And I was like, okay, if I want to apply for the provost of College of Medicine, they will ask I don't have MBBS as a background. And I'm completely out of research lab lab work, which I really love the wet lab experience. So I said, okay, maybe they do epidemiology of antibiotic resistance, blah, blah, blah. I go connect them now. And eventually I register to be a public health analyst in Nigeria. They have a group, so those are the plans I have. And so it's important to understand where you stand, where you're going, and how to improve on yourself to be a competitive candidate. Get it in the minds like a lot of people are also competing with you. Like, what can make you different? It's important.
Yeah,
just
thank
to
you
add to
so much.
what
Okay, go ahead.
what Dr. Luna has said about inclusion. I mean, I'm gonna reiterate this. Like, well, people should be careful what they post on Twitter. on Facebook about people they don't really have the same ideology about. You know, of recent now in the United States, if you are making your visa application, you're going to submit all your social media handles. So they don't want to see you as someone who, I don't want to mention names, I don't want to mention groups, but you guys understand what I mean. So keep your thoughts to yourself. There are some thoughts you don't have to express outside. You know, I mean, if you have any opinion about people you don't like, keep it to yourself. Don't come on Twitter and be and allow village people to get you, on things that you can avoid. It's important. Sorry for that. I just need to actually mention that because it's important.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I think uh, the bosses here have touched on the most important things, but I am a fan of digital footprint, and I will talk about that. I made a thread about LinkedIn, and I've written an article about the new CV, which is the social media. Most people, even when you write the supervisor, some supervisors, they stalk you.
Mm-hmm.
They will go online and check. They literally stalk you. And sometimes I know before I traveled to Australia, I know my boss at some point, when you apply for a job, she will go online to see what you are doing. She will check what is your Facebook like, what is your LinkedIn like, what is your Twitter like, what is your Instagram like, you know. So this is something, and that was why I did that post on LinkedIn. And a lot of people reached out that they didn't even have LinkedIn accounts. Try and set it up. If you have set up a Facebook account or you set up an Instagram account or you have these accounts, begin to clean them up, right? So if you have always been posting whatever you post, for my own social media, it's I post my family, I post scholarship, I post everything. So you find everything there, but make sure it is clean enough for somebody to come to view and say, okay, this person, like, Doc mentioned about the inclusion and all of that, what you do on social. People stalk you actually when you apply for positions. They'll go to see what you are like on, And we talked about Twitter. A lot of people come on Twitter, but there's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. There are people you can just send them a brief intro when they accept your connection. Somebody reached out on LinkedIn and she said, "Oh, how a lot of people? How do I get to supervisor about?" And I told her within minutes, just send something like this, and within the next hour, she got a feedback. So please clean up your social media handles and begin to get active on those handles. Like deliberately begin to get active because that is your digital CV now. About SOPs, I think that they've said a lot about SOPs. And if you are just joining and, again, some people are new to this space, they're new to the scholarship world, about SOPs, please just go and check our various pages. There are threads on SOPs. I mean, detailed threads on SOP. Someone sent me an SOP 2 weeks back, and the person was looking for a partial scholarship in the UK. And she sent me an SOP to look at. And I read the first line. I told her, please, this is, if I was given funding, I won't give you this funding. I was that blunt. And I put the link to the thread I did on Twitter. And I said, I gave a thread of 6 questions. Approach your SOP, answer these 6 questions coherently on your SOP. And I mean, when she sent me that SOP back, I was blown. I told her, if they don't give you this funding, now they are lost. But it was good. It was good, so please go back to those threads and look at those threads that we are on SOP. They've said so much about SOP, so much about emails. Some people, again, about work experience, professional work experience, especially in the UK, that is very, very big. If you do not have work experience, everybody on the panel here has said it. Please volunteer. Especially the UK that I know of, they are very, very big on volunteering experiences. Very, very big on volunteering experience. Some of those things, and I'm going to be very, very blunt, some of those things we do, for instance, on Twitter about scholarship, when I write an SOP or when I write some applications now, I refer to some of these things we do on Twitter. You think, yeah, we give out the time, which is, we do this voluntarily. But it applies to we're applying some things now. And I write what we do currently now on Twitter about scholarships because we're doing it voluntarily. So please, if you do not have experience in a particular field, maybe you are just fresh out of school or you've been out of a job for a while or whatever your circumstances, please volunteer. I got back from the UK after my master's with a distinction. I didn't have a job. I was going around Abuja to all the NGOs I know with a large file application for a role of a volunteer with master's distinction in public health. I was going around Abuja to every NGO I knew just to volunteer. I didn't get a job. I started volunteering with my distinction after the UK. When I came back, I started volunteering in an NGO in Abuja. Then someone I volunteered with years ago reached out to me and said, "Oh, Aaron, what are you doing?" I just got back from the UK. I said, "Oh, there's this organization. They are looking for so person. Can you go there tomorrow?" And that's how I got a job. But please volunteer. So if you want to fill up those roles, do not wait for paid roles. Go and volunteer. They count as experiences when you are looking or applying or even writing your SOPs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all so much. So I will just wrap it up with saying, if you're applying for scholarship, you have to be open-minded. You should understand that times are changing. These scholarships are very competitive. Whatever scholarship it is, you're not the only one applying. A lot of people, tons of people are applying. So that's why all of the scholars we have on this show today are saying, write your language test, write all the required tests, do the volunteer jobs, get a hands-on experience. It's just to increase or improve your chances, right? So, but I like to tell people that amongst all of these scholarships, I think the one that is like that is more, if we're talking about the Commonwealth Scholarship, say 1 million persons will apply and they'll probably take like 20%, or I don't know how many people they take. I think your best bet will be to go for research grants. Mind you, we have 1 million supervisors spread all over these countries who you can take your chances with. You don't want to write a language test? Fine. You don't have this experience in this, fine. You can take your chances if you're at that point with research grants, because you get the opportunity to send emails to different people in different countries if you're not, particular about being in a particular country. When I started applying, and again, you make use of your social media. Don't just be on social media following people that are not adding value to your life. Follow the people that will add value to your life. Because I was like that. I didn't know about scholarship. Like, I'm saying this, I'm unashamed. I'm saying it because I know a lot of you will be like me. I didn't know about scholarship until I got to Canada. So the only thing I knew about was reaching out to a supervisor, coming to, like, I had good grades in school. Like, my CV was very all right. But I didn't know I could access these opportunities. And I wouldn't blame anybody for me not knowing. I was the one who sat back and didn't go to look for this information. So you guys can start from now. It's not late. Start knowing about scholarship, like following people who, there are a lot of scholarship, scholars, like the ones I have here. I'm going to put their link down. So just to gain the information and start to get the things that would best fit you. But that research grant is something you might want to look at because you have a lot of variety to pick from. If this supervisor is not accepting you, try another supervisor in another school, in another country. You might just be lucky. That one supervisor's requirement is not a lot and they would accept you. So if you're at that level where you don't want to do this, do that, or maybe you've been writing the GRE or whatever and you've not been doing it, you can still have opportunities, right? Or if you feel you're in art or whatever your case may be. So that might be your best bet. So I think you guys want to take questions, just a few questions, and then we'll call it a day. I think we've covered almost everything. So
yeah, but I'm seeing some questions that I'm seeing a question that but I'm seeing some questions that are related to Australia, and I just want to kind of touch on. I saw a question, somebody asking if I had to take IELTS or TOEFL after my master's in the UK before I got to Australia. No, I did not write an IELTS when looking for a PhD in Australia, but that was because I studied in the UK and it was an English language country, so to say, and so it was waived for me. But even with that, I saw a very juicy scholarship in another university in Australia. But despite the fact that I had a distinction from the UK university, they were not bothered. They said you have to present IELTS. So that was what happened. GRE, I saw somebody asking about GRE in Australia. As far as I know, most universities in Australia will not ask you for GRE at all. But most of them will ask you for IELTS. Some of them will offer waivers in terms of saying, okay, provide an English language letter from your institution that you were taught. But even for those schools that would ask you, they will always ask for IELTS. Again, in Australia, most of the universities will ask you to apply through agents. but some of them will give you the option of applying through agents and applying yourself. Some of them have accredited agents on their websites that you can check through and contact them. Again, if you're applying through an agent and you are beginning to have issues with the agent, please email the school. I had tons of issues with my agents in my school when I was applying, but I kept emailing the school back and forth until I scaled through. So yeah, I think these are some of the questions I saw regarding Australia, except if I missed anyone. But if I see, I'll jump back right in when I find anyone again. So thank you.
Right.
Sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Tofu, for
Thank
jumping
you.
in.
Okay.
So there's a question on TOEFL or IELTS. So I will advise any of the two is fine, wherever you want to go to. But if you're looking at immigration, and IELTS is generally immigration, but in the US, for example, even though TOEFL is like, for example, Australia and UK is IELTS in terms of organization, but TOEFL is US in terms of organization. But in the US, many universities will still take whether it's IELTS or TOEFL, so you are still safe, irrespective of what you want to write. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Moya, do you want to take any question? Is there any question you want to? I'm just going randomly. Okay, you're mute.
Yeah, sorry. So someone talked about the PCR Western blot. I learned them theoretically. It's quite unfortunate I didn't have access to these things in school. How do I access them being out of school? The first thing is to connect with your community. There might be professors in your university, like they have it in their lab. So like someone recently, when I wrote about the important balance and experience, it went back to UI, connected with the professor, and he's working for free in the lab. So if you spend 2 or 3 months in the lab, I'm sure you would have skills. And there are also institutes in Nigeria which are really doing well. If you can get someone in there, like the Nigerian Medical Research Institute in Lagos, you have to pay. Yeah, you can. It's quite unfortunate, even in my alma mater, they have a central lab with a 40 million naira watt equipment, which is not functional. Yeah, power. It's a big deal. So yeah, so please look forward to get information on how to volunteer and learn those equipment, even if it's to design primers alone. Yeah, it's important. Theoretically, I mean, I've seen SOP where people write, theoretically, I know how to do Western blot, and I'm looking forward to it. It won't take you to anywhere. So that's it.
All right. Someone asked a question related to, sorry, Aaron.
No, go ahead.
Someone asked a question related to master's research and MSc. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Okay, so for MSc research, some programs require that. You can't do a PhD in some programs if you don't have an MS research, and disadvantage of MS research is duration. It's going to take a longer time, instead of maybe 1 year for a third program, you might need to do maybe 2 years. But it doesn't matter. Some programs take, whether it's MSc. Yeah, I actually had an MSc, before doing my PhD. But there are some specific fields that if you don't have a particular research experience, if you're just coming with an MSc thoughts, they might not take you. So I think basically these are just disadvantages and advantages.
Yeah, okay. So I've seen another question about Australia regarding application fees. Most of the universities that I know of don't ask for application fees. But because some of the universities some universities will mandate you to apply through agents. Some of these agents will charge you. Some of the agents will not charge you. So you have to prepare. In fact, when I applied for my PhD, sadly, I applied through an agent. It was new to me. I was applying for scholarships all by myself. But when I got here, my school said I had to apply through an agent. I had to pay the agent. I mean, they literally ripped me off. I got here, I took it up with the school about certain things, which, things are still moving in that direction. But so anticipate that some of these agents will charge you. If a school have more agents, if a school have maybe 6, 7 agents, if an agent asks you to pay 10,000 naira or 20,000 naira, I paid 80K to my agents. And all the agent did was send all the application I did and email to the university. I did all the work. Wow. But my university had to, sadly, my university had to make the process because, the agent, they verify your results and all of those things. But that was it. So if an agent asks you to pay 80K, look for the next agent that is in that school and ask them how much and begin to negotiate. The more agent and the school has, but some schools, there's no cap. It's a business for the agents. The school does not determine how much they pay. So that's another thing that you should anticipate when you're applying to Australian schools. And so another question, please, do we apply for scholarships separately during our admission application? It varies. For instance, for the Commonwealth Scholarship in the UK, you have to apply for the admission first, and then you apply on the Commonwealth Scholarship. In my institution, for instance, when I applied for my funding, I indicated on the application form that I wanted to apply for this scholarship. But the stages is that you have to get an admission first. So after I got the admission, I went into the scholarship round. Then they began to vet my application for the scholarship. So that question, it varies. It just varies with the scholarship. Look at the criteria for the scholarship. It is always stated what they want you to do. Thank you.
All right, let me also add to that. In the US, for example, you know, some programs, both the admission application and the funding application goes hand in hand. So if you are not admitted, that means they don't have funding for you.
Mhm.
But in some other context, even the same University of Cincinnati that I currently study in, you know, you have to apply for admission first, then later you now apply for maybe the teaching assistantship or RA. So it depends on the program you're applying to in the United States. You know, Dr. Lumia was saying something about University of Alabama that they gave several admissions to people, then they now apply for funding. That's a bit kind of tricky, especially for a PhD program. But most PhD programs in the US, it's either you are admitted with funding or you are not. So yeah, so the admission slot is the funding slot for most.
That's same thing in Canada, in most Canadian schools as well. So they give you funding with the admission. So most times when they tell you they can't give you admission, that's because they don't have funds for you, especially if you're coming in at a PhD level.
The UK will give you admission. The UK is like that too. The UK schools are very generous with admissions. If you meet the criteria, they give you admission. No wahala, you know. But then for PhD, they always push you to. They always ask that question of funding. Some schools, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, they pushed me right to the very end and said, you know, I didn't get the Commonwealth Scholarship. They cannot offer me admission. But I already had like 3-4 admissions on my PhD already in the bag. You know, so the UK is also big on giving out admissions as well.
But why would anybody want to go to grad school, especially PhD, you know, paying by them without funding? Yeah.
UK wants your money. UK wants your
I was wondering, like, why would Alabama talk about self-funding for PhD? Like,
yeah, some people have the money, you know.
Yeah, and they believe that some people can apply to external scholarships as well.
Oh yeah.
But we hardly have such in Nigeria.
Which was the case for me, the Commonwealth scholarships. The only scholarships I applied for was, you know, scholarships that were public like that, which was Commonwealth Scholarship at the time. So, and the UK is big on some of the scholarships. So I think that's why some of those admissions come in readily when you've got when you meet all the criteria.
Yeah, there's a question about KGSP, yeah? KGSP applicant here. I understand there's a minimum CGPA, yes, about 3.21 or something required, but how do you improve your application knowing you're competing with an applicant with higher grades? Well, how do you know you're competing with an applicant with higher grades? One, you have to believe in yourself. Two, you have to think about the school you're applying to. I applied to Daejeon University, which is not even top 1,000 universities in the world, but an average university in Korea is better than the best of university in Nigeria. I can say that because in terms of funding and in terms of equipment, they're really sophisticated. So you have to think about, for Nigeria, you have 12 slots per year, 8 on the university track, 4 for the embassy track. I always encourage people to go through the university track, write the school, send your application in advance, and yeah, you might not think about coming from Nigeria if you do not have IELTS. I mean, how would you expect Korea to ask for high IELTS? But they said preference are given to those with IELTS. So if you're going to take GRE for the US, you can also include it in your Korean government scholarship application. IELTS is also there. Publication is very important because you're competing with about 1,000 applicants from Nigeria fighting for 8 slots, the university track. So, and above all, the place of prayer and grace is important. That's it.
Yeah. I've seen another question. Sorry, somebody mentioned, what if somebody wants to pay for their MSc? It's very simple. You pay. Just apply for admission, get the admission, then you pay. Once you want to pay yourself, it's very easy. Just get the
It's
admission.
easy in the UK. You can even get admission within 24 hours. Just go and pay.
So absolutely, I got an admission in 24 hours in the UK. That was far back 2015 when I had my profile never even they were a day at all, And then there's another question around talking about volunteering. Can I add WHO independent monitor to my CV? Absolutely, Temi Halogen. I worked as an independent monitor for a malaria rollout program in 2015. It was on my CV. In fact, it is still on my CV till date. So please, with the fact that it's WHO, that's a big plus for you already. I saw another question, which is, I'll just allow somebody to talk before I see the question
let me
again.
take this one. Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, so I saw one about, you said there are usually little funding for master's program in the US. Oh, that's correct. What are the criteria required to apply for straight PhD? Just have a very good CGPA. Most universities just need 3.0 over 4.0 or 3.3 over 4.0. But the higher, the better. Then a very good research experience is fine. Most of their students often apply for straight PhD. That's what they do. You don't see an American who is interested in a PhD program. Few of them you see applying for masters, maybe because they are not sure of what they want to do. But most of them just apply for straight PhD. So if you have a very good CGPA in the Nigerian context, 4.0 upward is fine. Very good research experience, and you can show maybe a little paper, just one paper that you have written. You show, you're good. Then if the university requires maybe a GRE, then please write it. That might actually improve your because you're vying with folks here who have better research experience than you do. I can say for a fact that there are some undergraduates that finish from our labs here that have more papers than I do. Because they have been here. Some of them have been here maybe their second year of undergraduate. They have been doing research, and because they have been on paper
from high
like
school. From high school.
Yeah, my advisor started research from high school.
That's
my advisor started research from high school. So he has over 150 papers now because he has built up his and it's just he's not even up to 40 yet. So what are we saying?
Wow.
Yeah, someone mentioned about public what's it called, scholarships or opportunities in public health. I can't pick the question now because there are lots, but it's around public health. If not having a lot of opportunities in public health, something of that sort. I'm not sure where you're looking, but one of the fields where there are lots of funding is public health.
I made a thread. I made a thread on public health. These are my pimples.
Yeah. So please just go there. I'm public health. There's so much funding in that space. So please go to Doc's pin post and have a read. Thanks.
Then let me add to that. Some people are looking directly for PhD public health. Like they want to have a certificate PhD public health. You have to change our mentality about over here. They don't care about the degree name that you carry. So they want to know that your research you're doing, does it have a public health importance? For example, I can apply to a public health institution if I'm done because I'm working on mosquito, which of public health importance, because that's what they want to do. You understand? So, but people are just, I had a friend who had that issue. She wanted to apply for PhD public health. I told her, please cool down. If you don't get an opportunity of getting admission into a PhD public health program, why not look for alternative programs that is going to give you that same privilege? The only thing that is required now is doing a research of public health importance.
Exactly. Yeah. And for instance, in my school, just to touch on that, in my school, when I graduate, what is captured on the certificate is just Doctor of Philosophy, Faculty of Health. But because I'm in the School of Public Health and Social Work, my focus is public health. So the crux of what I'm doing, my proposal is what determines what I am, But so our certificate just comes to Doctor of Philosophy, Faculty of Health, But because I'm in the School of Public Health and Social Work, I take that affiliation of PhD Public Health Social Work.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions here which we have answered on our pin post, threads. China Scholarship. Someone is asking, when is the scholarship for Korea coming out? see, most people must have abused me about this career KGSP because I'm always posting about KGSP every day, and you're here, you're still asking question about when this round is coming out, when it's already closed. Okay. Then someone said, what are the feedbacks you could give on a successful master's application in China? Look for a professor. Do not use Gmail to send your mail. Use a Yahoo mail. And again, China is really flexible. I had someone with two that landed 2 fully funded scholarship in China. You don't need a big proposal. You don't need an SOP. My study plan was more like my SOP. You can, I mean, Jude, you're my follower on Twitter, so you should check my pin post on CSE. I made a pin post on CSE. I made on KGSP. I made on DAD. I made on most of these scholarship, guys. Please make use of the information. And someone also wrote like, make use of Google. When is the Korean government scholarship coming out? Punch it on Google. You see, most of the questions you're asking, there are numbers, countless numbers of answers.
Yeah, that's why I'm not even pointing on any question, because I realize that most of the questions is something you can just put in on Google. You know, somebody is saying, how can they access Swedish university scholarship? Check it on Google. Look for the Sweden scholarships that are available for PhD. Everything is on Google. If you can't use the pin posts the scholars have made, go on Google. And one question I want to talk about, somebody is saying, is there scholarship for postgraduate diploma programs in Canada? So to the best of my knowledge, for people outside Canada, there is no postgraduate scholarship. But after you gain the admission and you come in, maybe after your first semester, there might be internal scholarship that you can access. And the same thing goes for undergraduate. So undergraduate level, you can get entrance scholarship. But you also have to must have gotten admission into the school. Then you can access the entrance scholarship or any other internal scholarship. So that's the way it works. So you can't just be in Nigeria applying, or in any country applying to just get scholarships.
You have to bring your money first.
Exactly. You have to at least pay for the first semester, or maybe get the admission first and then start to apply for entrance scholarships. And mind you, most of this entrance scholarship might not cover all of your tuition fee. It might just maybe 3K, 5K, some are even 1K. So it might not be a lot. But at graduate level, that's where you get all of the scholarship. And I think the same thing applies to a lot of countries. I mean,
just if I don't answer this question, I might not sleep well. It's about volunteering. Faith, okay, can I add volunteering? I did not get a certificate. Actually, yes, you can. And if they ask you for a proof, just get a letter from wherever you volunteer and attach there, or probably get a reference from there. So even if there's no certificate for your volunteering, there are some volunteering you do. For instance, it's a personal volunteering thing. For instance, you organize an outreach personally. I did some of those way back. That's also a scheme. So yeah, that's a way to handle that.
I don't think for scholarship, I volunteered a lot, and I've never showed certificate for volunteering. People
that's right.
You just include it when you're writing your.
They just believe you did it. I mean, I volunteered. Someone asked on my Twitter page, like, okay, I sent my CV to the person, and he saw I volunteered with the National Blood Transfusion Service. Is that a volunteer? I give my blood for free. That's a volunteering. I mean, give blood, save life. I volunteer. So.
I have this chat room on my CV, Mrs. O chat room. I have it on my CV, so it's my own voluntary service. I have it on my CV. Like, seriously, I do have it.
I review
my bio and
that's volunteering. So the little thing that you don't even think about, those are volunteering.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think
most of them are covered.
I think we've covered everything, like all the basic. If you watch this video, you should be able to get the basic you need to access scholarship. The use of Google is very important. Use your social media, follow the right people, read their posts, reach out to them in advance. You don't just badge in on, people and think some people, the scholarship is closing tomorrow. Then they will tell you, can I get this scholarship? Can I get this documents reviewed in 2 days? Like, it's even if you're paying me to do that, I can't do that. I mean, you should do things ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
Not to talk of when you're not even paying the person, and then you expect them to put their life on hold to review your document. So it's important to start in advance. Dr. Muyiwa said you can even book him ahead for 2020. So if you're just in
even 2023.
Guys, go and book him now if you're in 100 level.
Please book him
I love to do my
now.
things. I don't like a rush. I love to do my things in
Yeah,
advance.
it's important. I tell people when I review people's SOP, I'm very thorough. I would rather review one in 1 week. Don't stress me because I'm very thorough with it. I won't just say, okay, because I'm doing this thing for you, just look at it and no. So I'm very thorough with reviewing people's SOP and all that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see a lot of people helping people comment. God's power, Olga. I don't even know who you are, but I see you responding. Well, thank you so
The
much.
one is also here.
Yeah,
The
I
one
also
has been doing justice.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ifeanyi is stepped in as well. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ifeanyi. I saw other persons I was going to just mention, and okay, I can't see them anymore. But yeah, thank you all so much. So I'll be ending this session, and I'm going to be posting their links. Not that I do not do anything for you in this life. This video, I'm bringing these scholars here. It's a very big something. All right,
There are only 3 scholars here. One is a shouter. 3 scholars are here.
That's not true.
what?
Guys, I'm the host of this show. That's not true. Don't listen to him. I handpicked these scholars because I know they have, a lot of information for you guys. And thank you all so much. And I'll end the session now.
Yeah.